All right, it's been like a year since I made a video like this, but I'm a three-time world champ now, and I haven't had a haircut in like 2 years, so things are going pretty good. Let's get started. Okay, I'm gonna start with break falls. So I always had this idea that somebody could teach somebody else how to I guess I'm trying to figure out like the idea, like a fundamental understanding of the concept of teaching anyone anything, like learning anything from anyone, or being taught or teaching something to someone. Like, people ask me like what it is that I'm doing that's making me successful at what I do, and there's lots of things that I'm not successful at. I really have a difficult time following instructions from anybody, but I am doing pretty good at jiu-jitsu, and that's no small thing. To be good at choking people instead of being choked by people, it's pretty hard, and I have a pretty good concept of it in my own mind of what I'm doing and what's going on. But then when I try to share my understanding of things with anyone else, even people who kind of speak like the same language as me in terms of like what we know, what we do, like jiu-jitsu, exercise, the body, all that stuff, I don't know, like people have to kind of learn things for themselves. I don't think you can like force somebody to learn something that you want to teach them. They have to like want to learn it themselves. Like, even if they say, like, there's been plenty of things in my life that like I signed up to learn, like, you know, college classes and fucking high school classes even, that like I signed up to learn them for one reason or another. But unless the reason, okay, what's next? Down dog. Unless the reason that you sign up to learn something is because you actually want to learn it, you're not gonna learn the thing that you're trying to learn. Well, that's been my experience. Like, the best classes I've ever had, and it was only a few, were things that I found deeply interesting. Like, it was like 7th or 8th grade. I can't remember exactly right now. I could figure it out if I had to. I don't really have to. But in like 7th or 8th grade, we started talking about Greek mythology, like Greek gods and stuff. And something about that was so interesting to me. Like, the teacher stopped giving me tests on it because it was clear that like I understood it, I knew it, I remembered a lot of it. I don't know exactly what that scenario was, but the only thing, like, I don't know, she stopped making me do all the work that everyone else is doing and started asking me to just go around and help other people or something, like during the, I don't know, a couple weeks or whatever that we were going over. The point is, and I'm not some expert in it or whatever, but I have been reading a lot about it lately. I've read more books in the past like 6 months than all the rest of my life combined, which is has been an interesting experience. I'm listening to them like on tape. I'm listening to books on tape. So I don't know if some people don't like to consider that reading or whatever, but I'm consuming the knowledge of these books. And it's really shifted my entire view on life. Like, I've read books on philosophy, read books like War and Peace and like novels and shit. Like the Odyssey and the Iliad. But yeah, so I don't think there's any point. Okay, what's next? Plow. I'm not sure if there's any great point to trying to inspire. I mean, well, that's not true, because I was out fucking running the other day, and for like 2 weeks straight, a little over 2 weeks, maybe 2.5 weeks, but for like 2 weeks straight, I was running 10 miles every single day before like work and practice and shit. And the one day I saw this little kid, like 4 or 5, and I was running past his house. He was standing like at the end of his driveway, and he just started like pumping his fist in the air, and he's like, "Go! Like you can do it, go!" And I instantly felt like running like a 50-mile race. So I might do that by the end of the year. I don't know. I got some tournaments coming up. I'm going to Florida next week for PANS. That's going to be exciting. It's going to be really exciting. I think there's almost 10,000 people signed up for the whole tournament. So it's a big tournament. But I guess maybe there is some merit to the idea of inspiration and things like that. But I think it goes back to the same thing as learning. Like, you can't, I don't know. That kid wasn't set out to like motivate somebody that day or inspire somebody that day, and I wasn't looking for any source of inspiration that day. But him standing there sent me over the edge, made me feel good, made me feel like I want to run a 50-mile race. Now, I have run 20 miles a bunch of times now, about 10 minutes per mile, pretty comfortably. I think I'm gonna do that like once a week. Okay, what's next? Elbow plank. Elbow plank. So, I've been running a shitload, and a lot of people tell me that I shouldn't run that much, and they might be right. I don't know. I cut it back a little bit. But man, I've been really learning a lot about like different ways of thinking and philosophy, and the real origin of like all the different types of religions and ideologies and way people live throughout history and around the world. And you can kind of trace it back. And this one book talked about how there's a lot of evidence that pretty much all the religions came from people experimenting with mind-altering drugs to kind of like meet God or something like that. And they have like evidence from like 50,000 years ago of Neanderthals smoking chamomile, obviously because it had some sort of a mind-altering, like chamomile, I guess, is supposed to make you feel calm or whatever. Shit. Well, chamomile makes you feel calm. Or they say something like that. I don't think I've ever actually had chamomile. Oh man, fuck. Maybe I should try it sometime. Squat. Okay. So, Neanderthals were smoking chamomile 50,000 years ago, and I guess that means all religions. There's a lot of evidence that seems to point to like all these religions having some sort of like way of communicating or meeting God or something like that. And I don't know, it's a very interesting area that I've only began to look into. But about these like different philosophies and ways of just understanding your own existence, like what was really cool was like Socrates would go about and just kind of like reason things out in his mind. Like he would talk to his friends about like ideas, and I guess during their discussions or whatever, they would challenge his ideas and he would get to see how they really stand up. But I don't think that that was entirely necessary for what he seemed to be doing. He seemed to just reason things out in his own mind, like about, like I guess justice is like the beginning, like premise or concept that he's trying to like understand the meaning of. And he came to this one thought where justice is valuable when other things have no value. And when other things have value, justice loses its value or something. Like he was saying, if you're holding your friend's tools or whatever for him, then justice is important because he needs to know that he can come to you to get his tools back. And then that's just or whatever. And if it was unjust, he would give you his tools to hold on for him, maybe for a price or whatever. Left side plank swing. Okay. So your friend gives you his tools to hold on to. Maybe he pays you to do that, like a bank or whatever, the thing. And then you guys agree on like a deal there. And when he needs his tools, he comes to you to get them. So during the time that his tools are not needed, justice is valued. But then when he's using the tools, it doesn't really matter. Like there's no agreement. He doesn't need you to hold on to his tools for him. So there's no value in justice at that time. The value is then in whatever he's doing with his tools. So there's lots of really interesting ways of thinking. The cool thing about it was that Socrates seemed to do all this reasoning like just in his mind. Like he just sat down and reasoned it out. And I think, like I don't know, I always thought about things, but I always kind of got scattered and not focused on like a particular concept. And I didn't spend a ton of time. I haven't spent a significant amount of time like reasoning out things like this. And if I have it, that definitely means that there's other people in the world who have it, whether it's a majority or a minority. There's definitely, like if I've done it, there's definitely other people who have not spent significant periods of time reasoning out fundamental parts. Parts of their existence and life. Okay. So, I guess that would lead me to believe that this act of just studying philosophy and thinking more deeply about these things, even if you come to different conclusions, just giving these different ideas consideration and thought is important for everyone to do. I think a lot of people aren't doing it, but then that goes back to you can't really force people to do things. Like maybe for a short period, but it's not genuine. It's not gonna be right. It's not gonna work out properly. Like, you kind of have to genuinely want these things. Oh, man. Fuck. Alright. What's next? Oh shit, what is hip thrust? Alright. Cool. Hip thrusts are much less challenging. They give me a chance to breathe. So, on the note of doing things, like genuinely wanting to do them, pretty much switched to an entire carnivore diet. I guess I have protein powder in my diet still. Too afraid to get rid of that entirely. And I have pre-workout powder because that's a necessity. But other than coffee, I have a bit of coffee with dark chocolate in it. But other than that, it's fucking meat, fruit, dairy, and honey. That's it, man. I'm eating like a dozen eggs, a pound of beef, a couple pounds of fruit, a quarter pound of honey. It's feeling good. I've been pretty healthy. I don't think I've ever actually been better. I certainly never ran 20 miles before, and now I can do it pretty effortlessly whenever I want. Like the one day I ran 4 miles, went to work, came home from work, ran another 20 miles. Didn't even take like a water bottle or anything with me. Smoked some pot beforehand and thought about the universe for 3.5 hours while I was out running. I guess if I was going to do a ultra marathon, I would probably want some edibles and maybe take a jar of honey with me. Just start chugging it while I'm running. I think it would probably be okay. I don't know, but I've got some major tournaments coming up in the next couple months here, so I think I'll go for the ultra at the end of the year after everything else. Hip thrusts, mountain climbers. Okay. Supposed to do a plank for this last. I might fail. I don't know. This is a new workout that I've set up. I might fail on this. Guess we'll find out. Okay, come on. So, I'm not sure if I believe in aliens anymore. I always kind of felt like there was more likely aliens than not aliens. Figured life probably popped up a bunch of times throughout the universe. There is a chance that life is so complicated that it did only happen one time here on Earth, or somehow, or whatever. I don't know. But if they haven't stepped in by now, I don't know what they're waiting for. So maybe they really don't exist. But maybe they do. I mean, there's definitely lots of legitimate looking flying saucers, and crop circles, and unexplained events from the past. So, I'm not saying I don't believe in aliens, but I'm saying that I don't believe in them as much as I used to. But I still believe in them more than I believe in Santa Claus. Yeah, I believe in aliens more than I believe in Santa Claus. Now, I don't think there's a Santa Claus. I guess there could be, but probably not. And I always thought that there was aliens, but there might not be. But I'm still leaning towards probably. 3, 2, 1. All right, that'll do it for today.